Welcome back, everybody. Getting geared up to kick off our lower bracket semifinal. We started today with 12 drivers, Gex. Now there's only 8 remaining, and then after this heat, we will only have 6. It's the battle, though, of the rookies. And we've been discussing, who we think is going to be stepping up here. We're in agreement. SQLC looks good, but between Black Feather, Complex, and J-Swag, it feels like that's where the competition's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at seeding, it should outright be Complex was second in the group there. However, J-Swag coming out of the arguably stronger group in our A seeding group, it really could go anywhere. Black Feather has just hung on and hung on and hung on, but that's where you would say the same thing about Complex. We saw him in his only losing round yesterday, and since then he has been second every single time, and I think he could be second again here.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy how, both Complex and Black Feather just have that, the survival instincts, I think, to keep them running to this point. At that same note, too, I'm going to be really interested to see Complex versus J-Swag and how that duo is going to interact because both of them are Trident drivers. So, they have that team on the side. Obviously, this is a solo event, all right? So forget about teamwork from this point moving forwards. But a lot of interesting matchups coming into this one. And again, when you look at the Gamer Boy Award for, the best performing rookie, we've got the 4 remaining rookies about to do battle here. I think this goes a long way in determining who could win that award.
I think SQLC definitely a good shoo-in for that running. There are no more rookies left in this either. So the 2 winners out of this will be the only 2 remaining, as this is the only 4 remaining.
Yeah, so that's going to be pretty exciting to watch as well. A lot of intermingled storylines, of course, coming into this one. And when you do win it out, well, that's when you get that lower bracket final waiting for you. It's going to be Spark, who's been looking very, very strong, and Planetary Goose, who had a bit of a roughie in that upper bracket final, but is no slouch either. Still, if you want to make it to that grand final for any of these 4, those are going to be that's going to be a tough round for them. But we'll see what kind of form they're in, and maybe they'll be warm enough to make up that upset.
Spark, who is contesting that first seed in Group A as well against Min, I think is going to be a big, that's a giant to take down right now for any of these 5 other players remaining in the lower half of our bracket. But right now it's SQLC, J-Swag, Complex, and Black Feather. I think this is guaranteed to be quite a surprising one. SQLC is my shoe-in for this, but anybody else is game for second.
I don't want to say shoe-in. I think that's almost a little bit too confident. I want to say like 70% chance SQLC gets through, and then after that it gets a little bit more dicey.
75.
You're more confident than I am. I'm not following there. I'm sticking at 70, okay?
All right, fair
70
enough.
feels
Down.
safe to me.
I mean, in the end, it's only really 50-50. You win or lose. There's not going to be anything in between here for the bet for first spot. So the likelihoods change, but we will only have one result for first place. I do think it's going to be SQLC. If I'm going to pick for second, I don't know. I kind of want to say Complex just because of the second position seeding. We know Complex must have the capacity for some outright insane speed, but it hasn't really been there in consistency so far, and coming out second in everything so far doesn't really give me a ton of confidence in that pick. But yeah, I mean, if we're looking at like 33% across all 3 of them, I would maybe put Complex at like 36% chance.
See, the problem is you can make that same argument outside of the seeding with Black Feather as well. And the seeding just feels so long ago. I don't really know how relevant it is at this stage of everything. So while you can make those arguments for argument, I'd be like, well, Black Feather also has been surviving on the skin of their teeth. And for that reason and that reason alone, I have to go for the one who's different. So I'm actually kind of leaning on J-Swag, who's kind of gone under the radar, I think, to get to this stage. I mean, they had
should be an all Trident finish.
It could be an all Trident. That could be possible.
Complex J-Swag.
Yeah, maybe.
It's possible, but we will get to see very shortly. We are starting our match. It is 15 seconds away now, and we are really looking forward to this. I think SQLC is probably going to get an early start here, and it might push the others to make more mistakes too.
I mean, we say that and we look into it, but it's not like SQLC had a massive lead over Black Feather in that last round. They each were finalists at that same time, and that's why I'm hesitant to be like, yeah, SQLC, easy done. I think it's going to be a lot more competitive than we might think. So let's gear up and, well, get ready to go into the warm-up. I don't understand why you get like 15 minutes of warm-up and then an extra minute of warm-up. We just want them as warm as possible.
Yeah, we are making sure that they know that they are warm. That's the thing. You've had the mess around time. Now make sure you're warm. That's the minute.
Well, all of them are treating this warm-up quite seriously as well, actually. Like all 4 of them just racing through it. Normally someone's gone off the track and gone exploring by this stage, but kind of shows how important this last round is, and I'm excited to see who's going to be, the driver that pulls away, gets that easily. I mean, Scarecrow is a fun track. I think we've each agreed this is probably our favorite before Gex just because of how smooth it is. So will be fun. Again, one of the more techie tracks. So if you have good form in Scarecrow, I really like your chances to win out overall.
Yeah, I agree. It really puts to test everything there. The amount of plastic involved as well, becoming quite a test to these guys. We have 5 seconds left, and we are starting our first run. J-Swag actually came through that warm-up looking very high pace there. As much as he's not one of my picks here, J-Swag is a personal favorite out of the players in the region, so loving to see that. Majiki represented here by SQLC as well. Blackfeather, in fact, the only one in here not representing a team.
Yeah, I wonder how long that's going to last with the strong performance in this event. We will see as Complex runs into early issues in the first round. Not what we were hoping to see from the Trident driver. Really, the same can be said with both of them if they've each kind of balked themselves out of contention. Blackfeather and SQLC pulling away.
SQLC, like I said, putting that pace out early. Oh, no, actually got a touch there on the wall in an easy section too. Actually a lot more common than you would think. It's kind of like you're in home territory, safest. You want to know a stat? Most car accidents happen within 5 minutes of home. It's when you get comfortable that you're in danger.
Dude, the same logic applies to a lot of things. I know surfing, you get injured more in small waves than when it's big because you just become,
take more chances.
A little bit too relaxed. And Blackfeather kind of coast their way across with an early P1, and J-Swag, who made the initial mistake next to Complex at the start of the round. Complex was first in that regards. J-Swag second in bonks and second in position. They're going to take top 2 at the end of the first round.
Here we come again, SQLC. Fast show the first corner, and we'll be looking to gain some pace here, actually trailing right this second. We were talking before how much we love Blackfeather's car, custom just for him there. Might be the reason he hasn't picked up a team yet. He doesn't want to whip another skin.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it is, right? You just got to kind of represent that skin as much as possible. I also like how Blackfeather's line through this section in particular actually mirrors the line that Min takes, but they get a little bit too wide, have to ease up on the gas, and that's going to allow the Trident drivers to pull ahead. Complex and J-Swag will be dueling it to the line. J-Swag has a bit more speed. All you need to do is finish clean, and you know they're going to. J-Swag now out in front in the standings as they take the round win.
Trident with the double finish there, first and second place, and it's J-Swag out ahead. Complex and SQLC, my 2 picks, are actually back fighting for last place right now. What is happening?
Well, that's 3-0, right? Like, that's how that goes when you get a 1-2 finish in the World Tour. You get 3 points.
Yep.
Yeah, there you go. So 3 points for Trident. Lock it in. No, that was a great start for the Trident drivers. J-Swag in particular. Again, he's been having a silent performance throughout this event, but has arguably maybe been the most consistent out of these 4. We'll see as it progresses. I mean, they're looking very good on Scarecrow right now as, again, they take that wider line that was mirrored by Min to just get the extra speed through these next couple corners right here to really set themselves up for the end. And you're seeing how that comes into effect. They won't be in the lead until the latter parts of the track, but then they'll run away with it.
Gotta agree, J-Swag might not be the fastest on track, but that's yet to be seen. Has been the most consistent and is going to take out first place again here. J-Swag shocking us both here, I think.
Hey, I picked him to move on. Don't lump me in with you, all right? You can run back the record. I was on the swag train because I'm swagging out. But that's going to be another good result.
I quit.
What?
Max, you've taken my will to cast. It's gone. It's gone.
You didn't believe in J-Swag, you shouldn't be here to begin with, all right?
All right,
No,
fair.
no.
Yeah, okay. All right, let's see how it is. Hey, every time I don't pick somebody, I'm their enemy. I'm their biggest hater. I see how it is. You've got to throw me under the bus to make
Because
your
every time
picks
you
look
don't
better.
pick somebody, they wind up winning. So
all right, that might be a bit of a stretch, but okay, there's some truth there. SQLC out in front for once. He's got to come through. He's got to prove me right. J-Swag, go back. Get back there.
He takes that inside line, and that's the difference. It's the setup on the big bank where J-Swag continues to go wide. It's the same line as Min, and like they're the only two drivers I've seen hit that line, and it's just working out for Swag right now. Another one, an even faster time, 47.4. That was up there with what we saw in that upper bracket final. So J-Swag looking in great form through Scarecrow. They only gave up 3 points through the 4 rounds.
47.131, the world record set by Min as well. So interesting to see where J-Swag will max out the speed there, but it will be that. It was moving on at 47.3 to our second map. It's going to be Technicolor by Doze, and this one, J-Swag leading up, was definitely an expert on the last track. Do we see it again in number 2? Technicolor could be a different story.
It could be, but I think the bigger story with J-Swag winning away is how that fight for second place is looking. 2 points difference between second and fourth right now, and this is where I imagine we're going to see them spread out that little bit more. I don't know what it's been about Technicolor, but we've seen some pretty great collapses in the latter half of this one. That's been the reoccurring theme. Just ask Spark about that. So we'll see how it does play out, but if you aren't, fully willing to send it through these last couple corners, you can find yourself losing those positions very easily. It's such it's a simpler track until the end.
It does have so many choke points, though. I mean, it's hard to fail on, but it is hard to succeed on by the same standard. That high transition fairly early on out of the grass corner, if you can't get low on that, you'll lose a ton of time compared to your opponents. There's so many transition points on this that really define your run through this track.
But what's interesting to me on this one though is how this has, I think, had the closest results in the end. So even though there's a lot of these tight choke points, because they're tight, when everyone hits them correctly, it just keeps everyone so close knit together. It's not until the end where you start to see that separation. So if you can get through the first 3 quarters of this track essentially without making any big mistakes, you're going to be in it with a chance to win it. That said, we talk about not making any big mistakes. Well, at the moment, it looks like there may have been a 1 for Blackfeather. They've already fallen a little bit behind. J-Swag as well. Can't stick the landing on the half pipe. So it's going to be Complex versus SQLC going to the end.
And Complex got the perfect transition out there, but it's SQLC for the rest of it. This is what I'm talking about. It's only your worst point through those 3 defining sectors that really defines you into the end here. And it looks like the worst point has been on Complex. SQLC gets a fair margin ahead, just has to make sure he has a clean line through the ending. Will come off the wall, but with plenty of time to spare.
Yeah, I mean, that wasn't clean, but it didn't need to be. They were that far ahead, come to the finish line. So well done for SQLC. This is more of the form I think you were expecting to see them in coming in to this round, and looking a little stronger already. Granted, I mean, there was a mistake from J-Swag. They did wind up kind of bonking at the end of the half pipe, and that's not a mistake I see happening multiple rounds on Technicolor. Maybe it will happen once as we start off the next round. Blackfeather going a little bit wide, but look at the speed they carry as a result, making their way up through the ghost, but then goes wide again and loses that momentum.
Same with Complex there. The back half of that really taking that into the fast section with more momentum than anybody else. SQLC able to hold them off, though. This is looking good for SQLC, but it's also the pace I was expecting from Complex. Coming out as the number 2 seed from the group, has to have good pace on them somewhere, and it looks like it might be here in Technicolor.
It might actually be. Blackfeather, though, has been climbing up through the ranks right now, and it has been slowly gaining on Complex throughout. However, I don't think there's enough time, and they got a little squirrely coming off the ice, so they'll lose that second place. Back to SQLC, looking to come around the onside to the line, though. Complex does enough to hold on to 53.748, enough to win the round. And J-Swag, back-to-back 4th places. This heat is tightening up.
SQLC made up so much time at the end there, even that last corner, taking it millimeters from that right-hand wall around that corner. We've seen people make the error of getting too close to that, the little touch, sacrificing runs before, but that is how it's done. Couldn't make the final position out of it, though, and just maintained second place there. SQLC with 39 points now, well within reach of J-Swag.
Yeah, I mean, but at the same token, keep your eyes on Complex sitting at 37 as well. Again, it is the top two that move on, so all of them within reach. And Black Feather, I mean, is still actually only within 12.
Oh, that's
so it's
high.
not like they're out of it, but when you kind of bonk coming off the half pipe, well, it's not going to make things any easier.
Very high transition from Complex there, did hold them back as well, and not the cleanest into the dirt either. Will be able to hold some momentum, but the little bounce didn't get down onto the dirt as fast as possible here. SQLC, every single time through the ice there, gains some speed, even if it's just minorly. Does make it over the opponents, but that is a major error from SQLC there. Nearly gets back second. Complex actually hit the pit, but did make it through just in time.
Oh my goodness, and just where we thought SQLC was coming screaming back in this competition, J-Swag reaffirms their lead, puts down another 10-point run.
Oh, Complex and SQLC.
First place, tied for second, Complex and SQLC. I mean, they're not even halfway through yet, so still a lot of time left to see where it goes, but I mean, again, something about Technicolor, the chokes at the end, it's just so consistent on this track.
I think this is kind of what I was seeing in my mind for this race, except maybe with SQLC and J-Swag swap positions here. J-Swag really shocking me in the amount of speed capable here. Complex, a very high transition here. This is not looking as good as the first run might have suggested for Complex speed on this track.
J-Swag bonk though, so they're going to give up that lead. SQLC looking to take it back, but look at Black Feather's line. Super tight on the inside. You tend to lose it on the ice though, and they are going to drop back to second, maybe even third through these final corners. It's all SQLC. They can hold it and not choke it twice in a row. They'll win the round. Complex bonks. SQLC does not, and it's going to be a round win for the Russian. Right back up in it. They're going to be within one round of our leader.
Majiki being represented well there by SQLC with a dominating lead there. A very tight pack on that one, as it has been fairly frequently on Technicolor, but the final round of Technicolor does go out to SQLC with quite a lead on everybody else there.
Yeah, it's we get ready to go to put them out for our next match. Now, I see you in the chat. All right, you guys trying to speculate what that SQLC stands for. I don't know. What do you think it stands for, Gex? I'm curious. Where does your brain go? How are you with acronyms?
Yeah. Silent Quack.
Why do you hate doctors?
I don't know. I'm trying to make a duck reference here, but I've got nothing. I've got nothing.
No, it's
I'll get back to you. Let me form something.
So, unfortunately, that L, I hear L's and I always think losers, but that doesn't seem fair. Like, what's a positive?
More accurate.
What's a positive word that starts with L?
Large, long.
The super quick
loquacious
chicken. Because the C has to be for chicken,
I think loquacious. Right? That's going to be the word I use for that L.
That's horrible. That's a terrible word. You should get rid of it. I think, yeah, like the super quick lasting chicken or something like that. Or
quick lasting chicken.
Well, I'm saying chicken instead of the word that's being repeated in Twitch chat. So.
Yes, yeah.
That
classic quack. There you go.
Yeah. Classic quack. All right, let's get into it, though. It's now time for Puta Mao. A chance to see J-Swag pull further and further ahead in this one. They're trying to hold on to that 4-point lead, but the chicken driver might be able to take it away from them. They've got the lead through the first couple checkpoints.
I tell you what, might be the chicken driver by name, but certainly not by reputation, is not afraid to push their limits. SQLC has made mistakes on it in the past, but it also means that they can set very high paces. J-Swag, though, has been coming through time and time again with incredibly quick runs on every track so far. J-Swag setting the pace for our second, not quite now third, now in fourth map. SQLC leads again.
Yeah, but that said, you can see J-Swag slowly gaining. I don't know if they have enough time. This last corner is the last section in the pipes. J-Swag climbing, getting close, but not close enough. It's 36 hundredths between the two, but SQLC takes the round.
And Complex coming in very late, getting up for the lower finish line there as well. But quite a run between SQLC and J-Swag here. They are the competition for first place. And J-Swag has just lost not quite lost out that point there. It is has lost a lot of the lead. SQLC is 1 away.
Yeah, 1 point difference between the two, but granted, they would care more about where Complex is sitting in third, I'd feel like, than each other, because it's all about just getting that top two, getting to that lower bracket final. We've been talking about J-Swag's pace, and again, J-Swag is the only other driver to be taking the lines that they are, with the exception of Min. I feel like J-Swag really was watching Min, learning from those world record lines and trying to put it into motion. And yes, they might be a little bit more difficult, but the consistency has been getting stronger and stronger for J-Swag. Granted, SQLC, despite having different lines, maybe has been more practice and is executing them that a little bit better. I don't know. That line looked awkward from SQLC, way too high. They're going to fall back into fourth. Complex has been holding the lead, but here comes J-Swag again at the ending, right through the middle, right through the competition. They'll win the round.
And looking good here again, J-Swag picking up the pace as SQLC falls a full half second behind there. That is a big run from J-Swag.
Yeah, everyone was a half second behind. That was just massive from J-Swag at the end. And
yes, set the best time.
Yeah, they are getting closer and closer to getting onto that finalist point. But the big thing is, again, as long as you're ahead of Complex, you're happy. If you are pretty much any of the drivers in this race, although I think Complex and Blackfeather would be looking to beat the likes of SQLC just to try and run down that second place, but they're running out of time to steal it away. Awkward landing coming through, though. SQLC loses a lot of momentum, and that's good for our drivers in third and fourth.
Complex pushing through. It's interesting, though. I mean, as much as we are seeing J-Swag follow those lines, a lot of them were only discovered very late, like literally day of pretty well the competition yesterday. It came out only minutes before on one particular line. Sure, data is still being conquered and reconquered. Oh, that's a big error there. J-Swag goes out. SQLC is second last here, though, as well. So a big regain from Blackfeather.
Yeah, Blackfeather needed that round win, and it comes from mistakes from both SQLC and J-Swag. A little bit surprising to see that happen, but as you get closer to the finish line, you know, the nerves do build. Third place slowly gaining on SQLC, only a 14-point differential between the two of them, and we're still many rounds away before finalist points. If we can get tight again like we were in that second round, I mean, we could get that explosive finish.
Complex is getting closer and closer, but you gotta say J-Swag has been losing that lead consistently as well, so if that second place is vulnerable, it could soon be J-Swag in that second place, who is with that vulnerability. It was well ahead after first map, but hasn't been able to hold that lead down and has been very close to losing it several times now. SQLC might take it back here as well. A huge lead out.
Yeah, but Blackfeather and SQLC make mistakes. And Gex, you did that thing again where you called out a driver saying they're not doing too good. Well, look at where J-Swag is right now, well out in front, winning the round, 88 points.
Yeah, and going to get quite a lead on SQLC. A 5-point gap there now regained from the already 2 existing. That is disappointing from SQLC. That is 2 runs in a row with big mistakes in it, and it will cost quite a margin on that lead. 88-81, though, means that anybody is up for finalist here between those two.
Yeah, and eventually I imagine both of them are probably going to get to it before we see the likes of Complex or Blackfeather needing to win out. But I mean, they're at least 2 rounds away, and this is typically where things, in my eyes, at least get more interesting for those drivers a bit further back for Complex and Blackfeather. I mean, at this stage, you're looking at it like, okay, the pressure's not on yet. I have a round or two before it becomes properly do or die. Let's see what we can steal away before them. That should be their mindset. That should be their thinking as we head to Cordata. And Cordata is where we saw Blackfeather make their comeback in that last lower bracket round.
It's where we've seen the newest improvements as well. So those lines always changing. Let's see if I mean, we've been talking about the fact J-Swag has been keeping up with those lines. Let's see if he's got the newest set down in his head, maybe setting some big ones here. But Complex actually through this warm-up looking very, very clean. I think a lot of the players use this warm-up to cut their lines as fine as possible, just fine-tune their run. And Complex is maybe just doing too standard a run through that.
I'm not going to be critical of these guys' warm-ups. If that works for them, it works for them, all right? I'm not here.
That's true.
To like knock
Actually,
on the driver who's leading.
We had our producer say they don't even do warm-ups. If the warm-up doesn't go well for them, they feel like they can't race the rest of the track quite right. So that's definitely something we've seen out of our top player out of OCE in the World Tour as well. So really is represented at the highest level, that attitude of just do well in series. 5-head.
SQLC bonking early, falling a bit further and further back right now. That is not the start that our driver in second place needed coming into this one. Blackfeather and Complex holding down 1 and 2, but here comes J-Swag again, taking as much of the track as possible to try to get that speed. Will be enough to get in front of Blackfeather, but I don't know if it's going to be enough to hold it, actually. Blackfeather taking it back. Complex, though, still nice out in the lead, but had to break a little bit hard. Final jump will come to the line. Here comes J-Swag across it first.
No way! J-Swag just takes the lowest line possible off the jump to get down on the ground. Gets the tiniest boost of speed, and it pushes him through not one, but 2 players into first. 98 points. He is this round guaranteed to be our first finalist.
Yeah, exactly. No matter what happens, J-Swag is going to be a finalist next round. So they get another warm-up round as they were going into it. But that said, you still want to win it. You still want to, give yourself as much a cushion as possible. They do get a little bit awkward on the dirt section. In fact, the only one who isn't awkward through the dirt is the one who bonked last time. SQLC now with a comfortable lead.
Yeah, and SQLC needed it if they want to be comfortable into the second place into that finalist spot. This round, as long as there's no big errors, should guarantee that next round they can go into finalist spot as well. So we should have our first 2 finalists guaranteed out of this one. J-Swag definitely. SQLC will also secure that right.
Yeah, I mean, they still need to not come last.
Oh, that's true.
Or third, actually. They need to finish top 2 in order to get themselves into that.
That's true. And it hasn't always happened.
No, it hasn't. So we'll see. We'll see how it plays out for SQLC. This is where Complex and Blackfeather need round wins. Like, they desperately need round wins. And if they can get one over the top of SQLC, that'll give them less of a do-or-die situation towards the end. Not to mention the fact that J-Swag obviously needs the round win at this stage if they want to qualify in and of itself. A trip to that lower bracket finals on the line. But with an awkward exit from the dirt, J-Swag sees themselves falling back all the way to P4.
Oh, and SQLC out in front means that this is still a chance for first place here. I know that it doesn't really matter, like, top 2 is going to get you through here. However, you want to be in as good a mental position as possible. You want to have the confidence going through to give you the edge when it comes to just cutting those lines tighter and tighter. And SQLC might be able to give themselves that edge here if they can take out a first place qualify out of this round, and has guaranteed their ability at least to do so.
For Blackfeather and Complex, it means at least one more round to try and bridge that gap, though, because both, our finalists are there and they're going to be fighting with each other. But in every round that either Complex or Blackfeather wins, well, I mean, that's kind of more free points to get yourself to that finalist position as well. This is a lot tighter than what the score might have you think, especially if SQLC or J-Swag kind of make a couple of those mistakes that they've already made on this track. This first dirt turn tends to throw some drivers off. This time around, though, J-Swag gets it nearly perfectly.
SQLC right at the end there tried to actually straighten out too early to get a bit of extra speed into the fast section and tapped the wall. Not too far behind. Oh, that's a disaster for Complex. Flipping back and resetting here. Blackfeather now in third. Will be trailing by some margin here, though, as SQLC tries to make back his early mistake on J-Swag. I don't think it's going to happen. J-Swag is very clean with this. The low transition once more gets him through in first place. We have our first qualified finalist.
Yeah, J-Swag, never doubted them from start to finish. They had the bleed, they had the pace, and they had the more advanced line. You may have doubted. I never doubt, all right? But it's good to see J-Swag get through. They're going to be happy with that. Now it's up for SQLC to follow suit. They're going to have a couple rounds to do it. At minimum, they will have 3 chances going into this next track. It is going to be Cherry. Which will be interesting to see how they kind of approach it, knowing they have, at minimum, a 3-race cushion. But hey, Complex and Black Feather, they're the two that always survive, right, Gex? They're the ones who have been constantly just clinging and hanging on. It would be a monumental effort from either of them to get through. We'll see how it plays out.
Is there an award for the most inventive copy pasta in chat? Because Speed is really working for it here. There's a fair few in the chat, though, right now. Everybody coming out to support their favorites right now. J-Swag has already made it through, so you guys can settle down. You've got to get ready for the next one if you're a fan of J-Swag. SQLC now, though, needs a win, and it's not looking good as a big early... Oh, this is warm-up. This is warm-up. I'm making the max mistake.
How much do you think those tickets cost? Where the camera is right now. how much are you paying for those?
The ones at the pool? I don't know that
poolside viewing or the ones.
Yeah, but I mean, you're going to be in no, you're not going to be in the pool. The pool's going to be on you. Those ones down the back. The ones down underneath the pool down the back. That's the seats I'm going for.
I paid good money for those seats, all right? I paid very strong money. Here we go, though. Our next round underway. Final 3 about to go at it. SQLC, they just win this one round. We're done, all right? It's going to be a short trip to Cherry, but something tells me that might not be the case because already Complex is giving them a run for their money.
It needs to be at least 2 from anybody here, though. Complex is really needing to put on a display here. Does have the pace to do so. We know that. The very placement of them coming out of seeding proves that their pace can be high, but they're trailing SQLC right now. Better transition. SQLC coming through now, and it's a tap. SQLC gets through, and it looks like a guaranteed finish. Our second, as long as there is nothing major to stop them, is going to be SQLC.
Yeah, SQLC, it's a clean ride across the line. They're going to qualify in that second position. So J-Swag and SQLC advance for Black Feather and Complex. It was a great lower bracket run for each of them. Unfortunately, they're going to come up just about 10 points short. But we have our lower bracket final now, Gex. We've narrowed it down to 6 drivers left. And again, can either of them get in front of Spark and Planetary Goose? I don't know. Like, both Goose and Spark looked good.
Oh, big shout out to the 2 going out there as well. Both Complex and Black Feather, known as our second place, our clutch players. Finally, this late in the tournament, cannot clutch up any longer and they will dip out. But a fantastic performance from both.
Yeah, I mean, and again, though, even SQLC's lower bracket run, I think, does need a little bit of acknowledgement because they had to go through the entire lower bracket, it feels like, to get here. Not all the way they did start in the upper bracket, but, like, they've had a long run to get to this stage where they will be looking to hopefully finish it out and get themselves through. Spark, Planetary Goose, J-Swag, and SQLC. That is going to be our lower bracket final. That is going to be our next match here on the stream, so stick around. We'll be back shortly with our second to last match.